Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Federal authorities have given the green light to a Chinese takeover of a major Tasmanian baby formula business. The government says the Bellamys sale is not against the national interest, but it's included special conditions.
From humble beginnings, Launceston-based Bellamys Organic is now the subject of a $1.5 billion takeover bid. The infant formula business eyed off by Chinese dairy company Mengniu.
We think this is in the national interest.
Today, the Foreign Investment Review Board gave approval for the takeover.
It helps generate jobs here in Australia. It attracts investment here in Australia.
But it comes with 3 conditions. The headquarters remain in Australia for 10 years, the board must be majority Australian, and it has to invest $12 million into a Victorian processing facility.
These strict conditions can be enforced and will be enforced by the government.
We were one of the first organic baby cat food companies. We were one of the first companies into China.
Rob Woolley was the first chair of the company. He's proud of what the Tasmanian business achieved, but it's sad to see it taken from local hands.
A sense of sadness when I think that it's a pity that our companies are taken over.
He wants to see stronger protections for key industries like agriculture.
Both parties have not been strong when it comes to protecting Australian investments and keeping them Australian-owned, particularly when they're in important areas like agriculture.
Australia's infant formula is highly sought after by foreign buyers in the wake of a deadly tainted formula scandal in the Chinese industry. Tasmanian parents are mixed on whether they'd trust a foreign-owned Bellamys brand.
No, absolutely not.
And why is that?
Because I just wouldn't trust where it's coming from. Well, everything's owned by Chinese lately, so...
I think with their issues they've had with their own brands, and then to buy our brand, and then are they going to go the same way?
It's interesting that it's going to be sold, and I think so long as Australian jobs are not interfered with, then, you know, it's okay.
The final hurdle for the deal, a shareholder vote in December.
The board have unanimously recommended the takeover, so it's likely that this will proceed.
Bellamys refused interview requests. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A 38-year-old Newstead man charged with a raft of offences, including drug trafficking, has today pleaded not guilty in court. The man was arrested after a major police operation allegedly uncovered drugs, weapons and cash at a number of properties, including 2 Launceston nightclubs.
Using sniffer dogs to search through cars, cupboards and buildings, police go on the offensive against suspected drug traffickers. 2 Launceston nightclubs among a number of properties to feel the full force of this week's major drug crackdown. The covert operation allegedly uncovering large quantities of ice, heroin, MDMA and cannabis, as well as weapons and $150,000 in cash. 3 people have now been charged as part of the sting, with a 26-year-old Mowbray woman and 28-year-old Kingsmeadows man granted bail. However, Newstead man Stephen Williams is facing drug trafficking and weapons offences. The 38-year-old today pleading not guilty to all charges in court, with his defence lawyer making an application for bail. However, after a lengthy hearing, the magistrate refused bail. Mr. Williams will be remanded in custody until his next court date in February next year. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A 43-year-old New South Wales man has been charged after a serious assault at Rosner yesterday morning that left a Bellreeve man with significant head injuries. He's been charged with wounding, assault, negligent driving and driving while disqualified. The man appeared in the Hobart Magistrates Court today and was remanded in custody to reappear next month. Consultants asked to review Bupa's aged care facility in South Hobart say they faced hostility and pressure from the company when visiting the site. The consultants say they were asked not to describe problems as symptomatic in their report during a bruising final day of the Aged Care Royal Commission hearings.
When consultancy firm Wilson & Webster visited Bupa South Hobart to hear from residents, they were shocked when a staff member was sent to take down the names of those voicing their concerns.
We found a degree of hostility, quite open hostility towards us.
We believe that Bupa missed a great opportunity to improve things for their residents and their families by not being open to complaints.
The consultants were engaged when 9 of Bupa's aged care homes, including South Hobart, were sanctioned by the Health Department for being substandard. But the hearing heard Bupa pressured them into swapping the term systematic problems with emerging themes when compiling their report. It was a red flag for the consultants, who say Bupa was reluctant to be transparent because they didn't want to look bad.
We strongly got the impression that people who complained were labelled as troublemakers, as deviant, as not to be respected but to be discounted.
Residents wouldn't even tell their relatives what was going on because they were afraid that their relatives would complain and that would rebound on them.
More cases of neglect were heard during Bupa South Hobart's third day in the Royal Commission spotlight. A resident's daughter, who didn't want to be named, says incontinence pads were left around her father's room and clothing often went missing.
And there were often other people's clothing put in his wardrobe, including clothing that was clearly women's clothing.
She blamed inadequate staffing for some of those issues. Even one of Bupa's own, its managing director for New Zealand, Carolyn Cooper, distanced herself from directives in Australia not to replace sick staff.
That notion of saving money by saving a shift, I suggest, was a misguided policy.
It's not a policy that I would endorse.
The Royal Commission now moves to Canberra for its final hearing. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News.
Police are investigating a deliberately lit fire that destroyed a house in Gagebrook outside of Hobart early this morning. Crews arrived at the scene at Celtic Place just before 5:30. Police say the blaze started on the back door before quickly spreading and no one was inside at the time. The damage is estimated at around $250,000. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. The location of a new state-of-the-art emergency services hub has today been revealed. The Sorell site will bring together our first responders in a new way, aimed at future-proofing the growing region.
Our first responders preparing to collaborate in a different way. This empty site at Sorell to be transformed into a $12 million emergency services hub.
It's our commitment to the region to make sure that we future-proof the region as far as these facilities go and the community services that they require down this part of the world.
Aimed at protecting the rapidly expanding southeast, the state-of-the-art building will house police, fire and the state emergency service under one roof.
This hub will bring a new capability for us. We've got a lot to gain from this. We don't have a unit in this area. This area is serviced by a Hobart unit at the moment.
What it also means is, with the increase in police numbers, that we'll put an inspector down here again, so we'll have a greater capacity for emergency management as well.
The Sorell Council has advocated for the hub for years, today charging $1 for the land.
Kerry, you are now paid in full.
Paid in full, well done. When there is a disaster or anything happens in the region, everything funnels through Sorell, so it is very sensible to develop such a facility here in Sorell.
Yeah, one of the things that we are pretty good at is working together collaboratively. We've got good protocols with parks and forestry. SES and fire do very similar work.
We will always welcome investment into emergency services, but there is clearly a lot more that needs to be done.
Construction will start next year, with the hub completed in 2022. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
In a generous act of community spirit, a special fundraiser is being held in Hobart tonight to help an injured Tasmanian Formula 3 driver return to the sport. Various collectible items are on offer to be auctioned, including the very helmet that helped save Alex Peroni's life. Our reporter Ruby Kamain joins us now live from West Point Casino. Good evening, Ruby. How many people are you expecting to attend the event?
Joe, more than 300 people have started to roll in tonight to raise some money to help Alex Peroni get back behind the wheel. It's been uncertain if the 19-year-old would return next year after he fractured his vertebrae in a horrific crash at the Italian Grand Prix in September. I'm joined now with the man tonight. Alex, good evening. What are you auctioning off tonight?
Good evening. Yeah, we got a lot of auction items tonight, so thank you for everyone that donated and gave them to me to auction. Probably the biggest ones is the crash damage from the crash, so I think my front wing and a few other parts. My helmet that was in the crash, that also won Monaco in, so it's a bit sentimental to me, but also a lot of memorabilia and underwear from F1 drivers at the last Grand Prix, which they just took off when they heard that it was for my fundraiser and signed it for me, so it's unbelievable to have that support from F1.
So many people are turning out tonight. What does it mean for you to have this auction here tonight?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I'm super grateful for the support. We started a few years ago at the Italian club and had, I think, under 100, and now to be at the rest point and have over 300 is amazing and very humbling for me. So I just can't thank everyone enough.
And you've been recovering for the past few months. How are you tracking?
Yeah, no, it's all on target. We were a bit worried about my back compressing and needing surgery, but that's all good, so hopefully I can get it off in December 6th and then get back to training and start my 2020.
Fantastic news. Thank you so much, Alex. So, Joe, the Peroni family is aiming to raise up to about $100,000 tonight to try and get Alex back out racing for Australia in 2020.
Oh, we certainly hope they do. Well, wish him all the best from all of us in the studio. Thanks so much. Ruby Kamain joining us there. After a long battle, Tasmanian teachers have signed up to a deal offering better pay and conditions. Following more than a year of protests, teachers will now be given a 6.5% pay increase over 3 years. The agreement will also include more time for primary teachers to prepare lessons, extra support for new teachers and increased paid parental leave. The TFS believes an accident is to blame for a blaze that caused $350,000 damage in the state's northwest. The fire quickly engulfed the Latrobe property early yesterday morning, with the owner bravely returning to the building to save his beloved pets. Firefighters expect the house will need to be bulldozed. In a major step towards reducing waste, the first prototype for a mobility aid has been created, made from plastic lids collected in Tasmania. Local group Lids for Kids started gathering recycled plastic for the hand in May for assistance group Envision in Victoria.
So we don't want people to go out and just buy all these bottles to give us their lids. We do want to reduce landfill, but we do have a way now that we can use the lids to create something constructive.
The group also reminds the public to wash any lids before donating. Well, some of the country's most passionate and highly skilled leadfoots have converged on the iconic Baskerville Raceway today to do some fine-tuning ahead of tomorrow's final round of the Tasmanian Circuit Racing Championships.
Today may have only been a chance for drivers to get a feel for the track, but they certainly weren't pulling any punches on the unique circuit.
It's a different track, different people that come along to race, so there's always the unknown factor that goes on in motor racing.
Almost 40 drivers from the mainland making the journey across Bass Strait as Baskerville prepares to play host to the 2019 Improved Production National Championships over the weekend, with current Australian champion Roy Hislop among the Tasmanians looking to earn a place on the podium.
It's Baskerville, it is a driver's circuit, it's not all about horsepower, it's actually down to the driver, and that's the attraction.
The weekend will also mark the 6th and final round of the Tasmanian Circuit Racing Championships, with local hope Liam Hooper and his Subaru WRX looking to channel his recent experience at the World Time Attack in Sydney in the GT Sports category.
Car should be quick. We've had a little session this morning already and conditions aren't great, but we're already making good time. So I think we'd be looking for put it on the podium, definitely.
It's on one of the smallest tracks that they run on, but it's the only track in Australia that is a natural amphitheatre, so that they actually get up close and personal with the spectators.
Racing begins tomorrow morning. Tom Cooper, 7 Tasmanian News.
A national awards program has revealed the best value for money cars across Australia. Testing over 180 vehicles against 21 criteria, it's revealed what the best value for money is in categories such as small cars, sport editions, SUVs and family wagons.
The best family car this year was the Mazda CX-8. It's one of those Goldilocks cars. It's not too big and it's not too small. It's just right for the family. Carry the extra kids home from soccer if you need to.
A full list of category winners is available on the RACT website.
Launceston runner Sam Clifford has smashed the national under-18 record in the 5,000 metres. Competing at last night's Victorian Championships, Clifford ran a time of 14 minutes and 7 seconds, breaking the 12-year-old record by 7 seconds. Fellow Launceston product James Hansen won the race with a time of 13 minutes and 58 seconds. The Launceston Tornadoes' hopes of turning last season's disappointing NBL 1 campaign around have been given a big boost, with one of the club's star performers recommitting for the 2020 season. And Ellie Collins is confident the Torns can be a force to be reckoned with this time around.
I'm just excited to be back in the Launceston community. That's something that I love about playing it with the Tornadoes. We have one of the best communities in the league, so it'll be really exciting.
The Torns are currently conducting open tryouts for local players, with more signings set to be announced over the coming weeks.
In terms of the amount of local girls that we have, and now with Ellie in the group, we're really excited about how strong we'll be on the court.
The NBL 1 season begins in March next year.
Good evening. The strong westerly flow continued today, bringing showers to the west, central and south. Hobart and Launceston 18 degrees, Burnie and Devonport 17. St Helens and Friendly Beaches the high today with 21. Best rainfall 8 millimetres at Mount Bob's, with 6 falling on Misery Plateau. Below average temperatures right across the state. Smithton, Lowhead and Flinders Island 15. King Island, Grove, Ouse and Strawn 14 degrees and Lyowini 9. Scattered low level cloud over most of Tasmania, leaving the northeast alone today. Fairly clear there. Thunderstorm clouds off our southern coast. This cloud mass also over coastal South Australia and Victoria. Cloud with storms over northern Queensland and the top end. Tomorrow another cold front clips the state. An extensive high settles over the bight with ridges towards New South Wales surrounded by surface troughs. No change in the wind direction, with 25 to 30 knot westerlies tomorrow, reaching 30 to 40 knots over the south and northeast, swells to 4.5 metres. A gale warning from the top of Flinders Island to St Helens Point, and also from Wineglass Bay to Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters along with the inland lakes. Saturday in Hobart, 16, a shower or two and becoming windy. Just 11 for Maydena, a windy day as well, and 12 the top for Oatlands. Partly cloudy but blowy. 17 for Launceston, a bit of cloud about. 16 for Devonport, a high of 7 for Lyowini after a negative night. Burnie, windy and partly cloudy, 15, 13 for Strawn with a shower for Marrawar as well and 13 degrees. St Helens a high of 18, partly cloudy, Swansea 18 as well and Orford 16 degrees. UV a mix of 8s and 9s, which is in the very high range. Sunday, fine partly cloudy apart from showers over the west and far south. Showers over the west again on Monday, fresh and gusty west to northwest winds, and on Tuesday morning showers over the west and far south, but mainly fine for the rest of the state. Sunny in Perth, fine for Adelaide and Melbourne, a possible late shower forecast for Sydney, sunny and 35 in Brisbane. Partly cloudy, 12 right now in Hobart, 14 and clear in Launceston, partly cloudy in Devonport and 13 degrees. Joe, you're lucky I'm here as well tonight because I didn't realise those amazing Irish rockers were playing at Marvel Stadium in Melbourne this evening. Well, actually I did know because Bono and The Edge, his guitarist, went into a bar in Melbourne today and the barman said, "Not you two again."
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Mary. Yeah, I got it. Thank you very much. That's all from the team for now. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.